Bythjul.com. Däck och fälgar online direkt hem till din dörr eller närmaste verkstad. Mid-January in Sweden, and we took the new Kia EV9 for a ride. From Saltsjöbaden to Norrtälje, and from Norrtälje to Borlänge. A distance of approx 353 kilometers in total. We never set out to make this one to be a range or a consumption test, but just a test and review in general, as we always do. But yet, interesting when the temperatures hit about minus 28 degrees Celsius, and regarding that this is always a factor for EVs. First up to charge up when we had 49%. Done in a jiffy. Set the charge point in the navigation and it preheated it. Easily showed a steady 200 kilowatt plus up to 80%. So very convincing. The new Kia EV9 has rattled the cage in the segment of big SUVs that brings high-tech, good range, practicality and futuristic design to the table. At the moment it feels so complete in its segment that it's a no-brainer if you're dead set for an EV and if you need something extra large that stands out. Because the looks are cool. Edgy, bulky, and brave, and it's such a refreshing sight to behold. People turn their heads, mostly nerdy, big family fathers that wants to be tech-orientated, and of course are somewhat of the EV-fanatics sort. But for sure, they should turn their heads, and so should many others. This EV9 comes out of the production line with a bang, and it's a very likable car. Built on the EGMP platform, electrical global modular platform, means it's scalable for different sized wheelbases and battery packs. The space it offers, over 5 meters in length, almost 2 meters wide, 175.5 centimeters high, towing capabilities of up to 2,500 kilos, together with all luxury. Massage, commander seats, swivel seats, sustainable materials, tons of advanced driver assistances, vehicle to load, vehicle to grid, 4 to 800 volt technology, 240 kilowatt charging rate. Charging it from 10 to 80% is done in 24 minutes, up to 563 kilometers in range, and a great app that remotely controls it superbly well, and so much more. Taking all this in makes it very interesting and exciting. Let's see. When you set off in this car, what you want to do is to unclick these some of these safety settings, especially that one that grabs your attention when you look around at the screen or other things. It warns all the time. It's a bit annoying for sure. It's for security and being safe and always being vigilant of the road ahead. But when it bleeps all the time, makes you go mad just after 5 minutes or so. I mean, this screen is made for you to click and to adjust and do different stuff on. But in correlation with that safety system, well, it doesn't feel that fine-tuned. But what this Kia EV9 gives you is, oh, here we are again. Those driver aids, you just need to dig into the menu, which can feel a little cumbersome in the beginning. I have Kia, so I know this system, I feel rather at home, but for a new one stepping into your car, never owned a Kia before or the newer ones, this takes a little while until you get the flow. But on a whole, this new flagship from Kia, this EV9, I understand why it's got so much praise and so much recognition from all motor journalists throughout the world. It is a very complete car. It is a very big car. And it's a car that gives you some American big SUV vibe. And I think people always like that because it is mighty spacious. It's almost like a minibus that you can run through the aisles. So for the kids, well, they got plenty of space, especially when you got this 6-seater configuration. On the highway, it's very stable. It's like a train. This 5-meter plus car, which is high, which is extremely heavy, 2,500 kilos. That is a lot of weight, but that also gives you this imposing feeling of a luxury ship, a big, heavy car that transports you in a very, very subtle way. It is quiet, it is rather efficient. When we were driving on some curvy roads, which were, like packed with ice and snow, you really need studded tires on these roads, I can tell you. But we haven't got studded tires on these 21-inch big wheels at the moment. So what happens is, even though you don't push it that much, it's very tail happy. It just wants to kick out. And also this regen braking, which is rather strong. When you drive on some surface and you come to a a little bend and you let off, it almost kicks out there as well. So there's something like it's a bit back heavy. It's not like it's scary or anything, but it's there. And I've tried to turn off all the stability systems to try to feel how it feels when you push it and if you want to drift it, but they won't let you turn them off completely. That's strange because in many other Kias you can do that. Yeah, Marcus felt that as well. I wasn't even pushing the accelerator anyway. Started to drift a little there. Safety systems, they catch you. So you're in good hands. Every time you start the car, by default, the safety settings are set to work. And that is a bit frustrating because if you want to turn them off and don't be bothered, you need to do that manually every time. Safety settings. Turn that off. And I would turn that off. Okay. Something that isn't that pleasant is this haptic touches here on the center console, on this bar here. They look very nice, but you need to push them a bit harder. It's not like you just put your finger on it and it reacts. So you need to push a bit harder. Something that you get used to as well. But anyway, it doesn't feel that good. And on the steering wheel, you got this drive mode, which you can set into Eco, Normal, Sport, and My Drive. My Drive is like custom settings, so you can set everything individual. But Eco is good. The power and the progression and the power and throttle response is just very soft. I like that one. And when you put it into Sport, it reacts a bit more. But you always need to respect this form of weight because when braking, well, there is some extra distance to it. And it's heavy for a reason. It's got a very, very big battery. It's on 100 kilowatt hours approx. It delivers 384 horsepower, so 0 to 100, that's dealt with in 5.3 seconds. So it's very fast, but it does it in a very comfortable way, not this hysterical electrical feeling. It almost sits down like a boat and it soothes you away. A wave of power, electrical power. You can set some sounds if you want to have some amplification to the engine acceleration, if you want to get some more feeling of how it accelerates, but that's not what it's meant to do. This is to transport you and your big family in an electric way, and it's very complete. You got all the gadgets that you need here, and Kia is a very big player now. They do superb cars. Good quality feel, even though maybe the buttons here, they aren't about 900,000 approx Swedish crowns in price. They feel a bit plastic. Fit and finish is very, very good. The graphics are good, and this system is rather intuitive, even though you need to dig into it a little more. But plenty of physical buttons all around, plenty of space. I like this space underneath here. Big cup holders, also that, a bit American in its way. And you know, being that generous, that just makes a big family very happy. And the seats with massage and all these settings with ventilation, heating, you got everything that you need. It is almost fully packed, at least this GT line. And also the design in here. I always talk about that design can be a bit too much, too over-designed to make it wow in its factor. But here the design elements are just decent. They don't, you know, take your breath away, but it looks good to look at. It blends in very well. Turning circle, not the very best, but very quick with this gear selector down here. That was maybe one of the first one that came up with this was the BMW i3. Very, very good. And when you got the hang of this, then you're very quick, and it's not lazy. It's very quick to change gears. The dampers in this car, it's not air suspension. You can feel that in some regard when you run over some harder, uneven surfaces in the road. It's got its own shock absorbers or dampers, which adjusts a bit. If you're heavy loaded back there, well, then they will stiffen up a bit more. And here is also a little annoying thing. Just like in the Porsche 911, it's covered here, this little part, which is the climate control area. You push that and you get it up on the whole screen, which is really good. And it's quick. The processor in this car is quick. But it's being covered. So you need to lean this side or this side to see what type of setting you have for the distribution of the air, if it's AC on or whatever you've set in this climate control department. In Sweden you don't get these digital side mirrors. They claim that this depth of side in general is not that natural as having normal ones. But at the same time they promote them internationally, and you have a very wide perspective, the digital ones that is. But here we are with the normal ones. But normal ones, they also have a bit more drag, and they are also the one that can make the sound, the wind noise, leak into the car a bit more, especially on a very big car, that you don't want some extra sound from the outside. But I must say that this car is quiet. They've worked with the drag coefficient, and it's got some 3D channels that lets the air all around, also underneath it. So it is very quiet. It runs through the wind. This roomy cabin really makes you feel free in here. If you want to open up a bit more to get some more light, you got this double windowed roof. The material, when you put down the sunshades, well, you feel that very, very cozy material. And the roof is in the same material. I really like that. Digital rear view mirror here. You can put it in normal if you want. If you want to look at your passengers in the back and the third row seat is doing. Maybe the kids fooling around. But I like that digital one. Maybe not now because there's some snow on it. But then you just turn it into analog. I like the steering wheel. It is SUV big. It's also very thick, but not that thick that it's uncomfortable. Very sporty in its grip. Carved out here for your thumbs, and it's a bit of a square shape. I like that. So it has its own design. But a big meaty steering wheel, you want that in a big car because it really synchronizes with the way the big car feels. So that is important, and they've really nailed that one. This one on the long trips is very comfortable to squeeze. This dual motor, the one at the front, the one at the back, when driving effective and more economical and not pushing the throttle too much, it's just rear wheel drive. That rear electric motor works a bit more on its own. It's first when you push it hard that the front engine starts to wake up. I really like the seats. And what happens when you start to reach about 140 or when you put it into sport, those bolsters here, they squeeze you a bit more. So that both feels a bit more sporty and, well, you get gripped in a bit better. Not just because you would like to take this on a super hardcore driving journey, but it's there, and it's very good that you are stuffed well into the seat. Lovely headrests. They are so good. It's like a little net, and you might find it that comfortable when looking at it, but it is super soft. And they look good in this bi-tone color, black and white. And when it's packed of safety systems, well, there's also some other safety systems that are engaged by default, like this lane assist. But I like it. You have it here at the steering wheel. I'm very fond of that. In my Kia Sorento as well, you do the same thing there. You just hold that for like 2 seconds and then it's disengaged. But when driving on the motorway with the cruise control on, having lane assist and having this automatic steering, it works very, very well. It reads out the road in a splendid way, I think. It isn't that juddery and it, pulls you back in hard. It's rather calm and easy on you, which I like. And at the same time, you just need to keep your hands in a light position on the steering wheel. Because sometimes it wants you like grip the steering wheel. Of course, you need to do that. But in many cars, you really need to grip it and hold it. But here, you can just put your fingers gently on it, and it works. A very likable car, and one that made this trip very easy and effective due to its quick charging capability. Such a great and relaxed long-distance cruiser with more than plenty of equipment for that modern large family. Great to see Kia setting the bar high with this one, because it means others need to at least follow in some way.